The Depot neighborhood is an energy-efficient, affordable housing community here in the heart of Traverse City. Our goal in the Grand Traverse region was to provide net zero housing for our community. And what that means is our homes produce as much energy as they consume.
Everyone deserves, first of all, deserves a right to housing, and then second of all, deserves a right to healthy, energy-efficient, affordable housing.
I look at everyone around us and their bills and their way of life, they are struggling tremendously just to get by. And that's not, the way it should be in the United States. And this is such a huge opportunity. More people should have that opportunity.
My name is Wendy Irvin, and I am the Executive Director of the Grand Traverse Region Habitat for Humanity. I have developed such a passion for the work that we do by seeing the difference that it makes in the lives of others. Each individual family has their own story to share, and it's very powerful. The way that they've received the support from the community, have built significant relationships in their lives. It gives them stability, it gives them confidence, and I'm part of a team that feels really blessed and inspired by the work that the community does in serving others. The Depot neighborhood is an energy-efficient, affordable housing community here in the heart of Traverse City. We're able to serve 10 families, and we're using energy conservation and renewable energy as a cost savings measure. Our goal in the Grand Traverse region was to provide net zero housing for our community. And what that means is our homes produce as much energy as they consume. We're using energy conservation as the model, but then we're also completing that project with renewable energy, the solar panels. And so the end result is that our homeowners have zero energy bills. The sweat equity model is so important to us because it gives us the opportunity to build the relationships with our partner families. It gives the partner family the opportunity to contribute to the building process of their house, to learn what it's like to be a homeowner. In fact, our homeowners feel more qualified and competent to be a homeowner, having gone through that sweat equity piece and component of the model, as well as financial courses, maintenance classes. They feel more competent and qualified to be a homeowner when they move into the house than the average homeowner. All of the things that you desire within a community, within your neighborhood, we've tried to achieve through the Depot neighborhood by building a pocket neighborhood where our families' homes are actually facing each other versus out to the street. And that gives them the opportunity to communicate better, to really form relationships. And those relationships are significant in strengthening their own personal environments, but also strengthening the community. We find that the whole relationship building process is what's unique to the Habitat model and what does make it very successful.
My name is Brett Little, and I'm the Executive Director at the Green Home Institute. I get to oversee basically our entire organization, make sure everything is running right. What's really fun is I get to do a lot of our education and training programs, as well as I get to help people, whether they're professionals or homeowners, use the tools that we have to make their homes greener, healthier, more energy efficient. We have had a really strong relationship with Habitat for Humanities all over. Our strongest partner is here in Kent County, where we're headquartered. We certify all of their homes. They've certified nearly 150 LEED homes. They continue to push the envelope. We do the testing and inspections of those homes, and then we also like to challenge them to go a little bit further and take their homes to the next level. The Depot project is a really exciting project in many ways because it's a whole neighborhood, a whole community. It's not just a one house. If we know anything about sustainability, is it can't really be done in a silo. We're not going to solve many issues just one house at a time. We have to do this at a community scale. So that's the really great thing about the Depot project, is it really starts at that community scale. These homes are being built so tight with energy efficient systems, energy efficient appliances, and reduced air leakages that you can throw on just a little bit of solar, and if the home is ran correctly by the homeowner and not asking them to do too much, the utility bills of the home should be zero at the end of the year and saving homeowners a lot of money.
Hey everybody, this is Brett Little, Executive Director at the Green Home Institute. We're going live here up in Traverse City, Michigan, climate zone 6, right? 6A. Yeah, 6A. So right now it's really nice and warm, but it does get pretty cold up in these parts. So we are at the Habitat for Humanity Grand Traverse Depot project that you can see behind me. There are going to be 10 homes in this community, all in various phases, but nearly completed. One home that hasn't started yet, and one that's underway that we're going to go into. This community has currently 5 LEED Platinum certified homes, and then 5 more underway, and they're targeting zero energy, so no electric utility bills or gas utility bills or anything, ideally, for the homeowners that they're serving. So today I am here with Ryan McCune, who's going to be taking us through the homes, telling us a little bit about the technical details, and helping answering any of your questions if you have them. So Ryan, maybe real quick you can introduce yourself and who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Ryan McCune. I sit on the board for Habitat for Humanity. I was previously project manager when this project kind of got started, which is almost 5 years ago now. We've been building houses here. We're going on our 3rd year. There are 8 completed with 9th under construction, and the 10th will follow this fall. Again, as Brett alluded to, this is our goal on this project was for each and every home to be net zero. We'll talk a little bit more later about some of those targets and if we've hit them or haven't hit them, and some of the data that came from that. Mackenzie Tompkins will discuss that a little bit more. But to start off, we'll just walk through and I'll show you a little bit about how the houses were constructed and the things that we did to help reduce consumption first.
Great. So, well, first we're going to spin you guys around here, and we're going to start at the foundation, at the beginning. You know, where, or really where a house starts and how to keep energy from leaving a house from the foundation. So, let's spin around here with Ryan and take a look at. There we go. So, what are we looking at? Where are these going, Ryan? What do we got here?
These are insulated concrete forms, or ICF is what the acronym is usually used for. And what they basically are is they're our foundation system. So what we've done is we've built a raised, frost-protected shallow foundation. So what I mean by that is the house is put on a slab. It's built on a slab versus having a crawl space or a basement. And what's really important that we want to do is we want to thermally break the cold from the outside and the condition inside. We don't want heat moving to the outside through a slab, through concrete. So these insulated concrete forms do a fantastic job of providing that thermal break on the outside of that foundation system. So this is one segment of block right here that gets poured full of concrete. We stack them 2 high, which gives us, they're 18 inches tall, gives us a 36-inch foundation. And then we take Brett and Pane over here. Once that perimeter of ICF is completed, we backfill the inside of the foundation, the inside of the home, and then we lay down 3 layers of 2-inch XPS foam, Dow foam, and that creates our thermal break underneath the slab. So now we've got a completely thermally broken concrete slab inside the home. So those are the 2 products that we use. Fortunately, a lot of our foam, because of our partnership, or Habitat's partnership with Dow Building Products, we get the 2-inch XPSs donated, which really helps us out considerably when trying to keep the cost of the housing down. So the whole idea of doing all this is the least expensive thing that you can do to help improve or reduce the amount of energy you use is conservation first. We focus heavily on trying to build a better thermos bottle instead of a styrofoam cup. Most of us know there's a code or a minimum required in the state of Michigan that we're all supposed to build to as builders, and that's fine, but it is a minimum. It's the poorest quality that our government will allow us to do. So by taking these extra steps and building a better foundation, or better sub-slab or better wall assembly or better insulated attic, we improve that thermos model, which has quicker return on investment, and then we're putting a smaller amount of renewable energy on that home to get us to net zero. So our focus was conservation first, renewables second.
Great. Well, why don't we head around the side here, take a look at the community, and then look at some of the renewable energy.
Here's a quick shot of the exterior of the house. This one's under construction, house number 9. You can see down here, I don't know if the camera will pan down that low, but here's our Icf Foundation. And we've parged it with an acrylic coating to protect the foam so it doesn't get damaged once the home is completed and we've got landscaping around it and people are going to trim their yard. We put an acrylic coating on there, which is pretty stout stuff, and it'll take that abuse. And then from there up, you can see we've actually added foam to the exterior of the house too. There's 2 layers of 2-inch foam on the exterior of the house, and then we've strapped it with a rain screen furring strip to help allow us to attach siding to. There's a couple advantages to that. The first advantage is it allows moisture to move from behind the siding too. Usually the biggest issue with a composite siding or a natural wood siding is moisture. Moisture gets behind it. If it's a painted product, it'll want to push itself up through the paint, cause the paint to crack. By allowing that material to dry, we create that airspace behind it and allows the air to move behind there all the time. The second thing is we want a good solid surface for the cladding to attach to, and by putting that much exterior foam on the outside of the house, this allows for us to have that good solid base for us to attach the siding to.
Great. Let's take a look at the rest of the community then. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them while we're going.
We'll take a quick look at solar panels. I think, Brett, you wanted to... There's just a sign here on the front.
Yeah, so if everybody can kind of see that, pretty proud of Habitat becoming finalist with this project for Innovator of the Year in the Michigan's Governor's Energy Awards of Excellence. So, very cool. So here's where we're coming into the community. On the right there, you'll see some different businesses, small shops, a bar, microbrewery, and then on the left is where some of the, I believe, first-built homes were.
Correct.
Some of the original homes.
Yep. Did you want to chat, Mackenzie, at all about the solar, or do you want me to talk a little bit about the solar on the homes? Okay, so the houses each have 27 3x5 LG, I think they're LG panels, I'm pretty sure they're LG. They're a black-on-black panel, which helps them kind of disappear a bit. We want them to kind of blend in. We didn't want them to be a really strong presence, just to kind of keep with the idea of the neighborhood being a little bit older neighborhood. We didn't want them to be too much of a showcase, even though we're pretty proud of them. But so yeah, each one produces about 300 watts, 280 watts of power. So the total production of the entire array is around 7.5 to 7 3/4 kilowatt hours or kilowatts. Which is just about borderline, and Mackenzie will talk about this a little bit later, just about borderline of what the houses need as far as consumption. We're producing almost right there, based on our HERS score of -2, about what we need. So again, there's the first 5 homes that were done. House number 9 is under construction, and there's 4 more on Station Street on the other side. Houses themselves are very compact. Again, conservation was kind of a focus for us. So the houses are 2-story, very small footprint. All the living spaces on the main level, which you'll see when we walk inside a little bit later. But there's a kitchen, a laundry room, and a family room, and a bath on the first floor, and then the bedrooms all on the second floor. But again, by building up, we allowed for a smaller footprint, less expensive construction costs, a little easier to condition when it's straight up versus spread out. So each house has a 1-car garage too.
Great. So let's go around the side and then take a look at some of the mechanicals and talk about those. And while we're heading this way, in regards to like the LEED location and transportation and community connectivity, I noticed this area kind of roughly around here has a 70 on the walk score. I noticed you guys are pursuing many of the community resource credits, urban infill, existing infrastructure. So it really looks like from a connectivity standpoint, from reusing, a lot that was already previously developed, as well as giving access to a lot of community resources. There's a lot of location applicability here, so people can probably get around via bike, via bus, by walking if they need to get to most of the resources they need.
Yeah, which helped obviously considerably when it came to LEED points too. There are a lot of amenities very close, and one of the, when you look at affordable housing, one of the other things that are a big issue is the expenses of a vehicle. You know, you don't think about it that much, but an expense of a vehicle can be anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000 a year between car payment, insurance, and gas. So like Brett, like you had said, the closer you can keep to where you're within walkability, we were hoping the families could maybe, instead of having 2 vehicles, could be down to 1 vehicle and have that extra money for other things. So what we're staying at here is, you can see this is a bi-directional meter. So this is showing the usage and the production, or the outgoing electron and the incoming for our solar array. So it's one meter that controls both. And then here you can see the disconnects for the solars. This is in case there's an issue with the solar that can be quickly shut off by a local utility or by fire department or something along those lines. So we are what's called grid tied, and I'm sure most of you that understand this, we don't have some big bank of batteries sitting in the garage that we're producing power and storing. It actually, with this bi-directional meter, we're actually producing the power like we are today and not using or consuming as much as we're producing. It's being fed back into the grid as a credit. And then at nighttime, when the lights come on, the panels are no longer producing power, then we use those credits back. Same is true in the wintertime, where we're producing way more power, or consuming way more power in the winter than we are producing. We use those credits back from the utility company.
Mm-hmm. Now, since this is Habitat project, does the homeowner still get the benefit of the solar energy, or do the checks going to them, or where is that going?
So the only thing that they did not have the advantage, well, and you may have to correct me, Michelle, but the federal tax credit they did not qualify for because of their income bracket. So they weren't able to realize the 30% tax credit. But we were able to get the solar panels at a pretty significantly reduced cost, which really helped the families out too. If you look at these homes, there's roughly $18,000 worth of solar panels in the house. And actually, I think that number's even coming down a bit since we started 3 years ago. The prices dropped even more. So each time we get a rebid on the project, seems like either the solar production goes up a little bit or the cost has come down, one of the two, which is a nice advantage of what's happening right now in our industry.
Great. Should we head to the mechanical room?
Yeah.
All right. And again, thanks for joining us here at Green Home Institute Live, Facebook Live, or on demand. For those of you watching live, please let us know if you have any questions.
So we'll take a peek at this real quick. This is either one. This one, Brett, yeah. Maybe not being in the sun will probably help a little bit. So what we have here is a mini split. This is a single condenser unit. It's a heat pump, which is essentially the same thing that you have on your refrigerator. Your refrigerator's a heat pump. Or if you've stayed in a hotel room and you turn that little unit underneath the window to either heat or cool the room, it's essentially just transferring heat from either outdoors to indoors or indoors to outdoors, which is the least expensive way to heat a home, believe it or not. Creating heat is the most expensive way, or the most energy consuming way. So all we're doing here, excuse me, is taking that energy from outside and relocating inside. Inside the home, which we'll show you in a little bit, there's 2 condenser heads. There's one upstairs and one downstairs. And they're just wall consoles that are individually controlled. So they're almost zoned. The first floor and the second floor are zoned independently. But they all work off this one condenser. The cool thing about what it's doing right now, as you can see, it's just barely even running. And the reason why it's barely running is they're cooling the house inside. But it's actually not too hot of a day out. It's maybe 80 degrees outside. So let's say they're dropping the temp maybe to 74 or 76, maybe 4, 5, 6 degrees, and eliminating some of that humidity. The cool thing about a mini split or inverter-driven heat pump is it'll only produce or run what it's calling out for. Where we're used to more of a traditional heating or cooling system where it's either on or off, and it's running high or off. This runs it. You can see it's just running at a variable low. Let's say the cooling load may only be like 3,000 or 4,000 BTUs. The mini split is actually only producing 3,000 or 4,000 BTUs, not 60,000 BTUs. If that makes sense. That's one really cool thing about the technology in these things.
Right. And from a health standpoint, does that help dehumidify the space if necessary?
It does. Yeah, they have dehumidifiers and there's condensate drains that run outside the house. So yeah, you're keeping the humidity down inside. And we also have ERVs, or energy recovery ventilators, in the house that are bringing in fresh air and transferring that heat or cooling, whatever the house conditioning is at the time, is being transferred through that incoming air and outgoing air. So yeah, we, you know, not only building very energy efficient homes, which is really important for net zero homes, but we're building homes that that are healthier to live in. You know, no VOC paints, no VOC products, or low VOC, and ventilation systems that are constantly exchanging air and recovering that heat or cooling as it's exchanging that air. You know, direct vent bath fans, direct vent range hoods, all the really important things to keep indoor air healthy. All right, off to mechanical room?
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a look at the community. Those apartments are not part of this development here.
We have a little electric lawnmower in here, which is kind of cool. So each homeowner is responsible for their own landscaping or upkeep. So you can see here where they've got this little electric lawnmower inside the mechanical room right now. But in the mechanical room, there's a heat pump water heater. Brett, I don't know if you
Yep, we can see
got that in. Yep, and on the camera. And then just above that is the ERV, or energy recovery ventilator, which I mentioned earlier. And it's just got a single supply and a single return. So to your left there is the incoming air. That duct line there comes from outside and feeds into the ERV. And it's exchanged with outgoing air. It's coming in from the right-hand side. And then the supply is pushed all the way to the second floor, which provides ventilation for the bedrooms upstairs, and the return air is down here at the family room, so it creates kind of a convection loop. So a really small mechanical room. I mean, most of us are used to a mechanical room with a big furnace in there and you know, all kinds of other equipment. This is essentially their entire mechanical room right here. Their furnace is the mini split that hangs on the outside of the house, and a couple wall condenser heads, and then a heat pump water heater inside, and an ERV.
So what was the choice to go with a heat pump water heater, you know, rather than a gas-fired condensing or tankless or even electric resistance?
Yeah, good question. The electric resistance, which an easy way to put this is if you think about electricity being in the form of a kilowatt hour, or heating in the form of a kilowatt hour, for every 1 kilowatt of electricity that it consumes, an electric resistance hot water heater, it produces about 1 kilowatt of heat. In an event of a mini split water heater or a hybrid heat pump water heater, for every 1 kilowatt of electricity it consumes, it produces about 2.5 kilowatts of heat. So there's the advantages of that. And the way it does that is it's taking heat out of the air inside the mechanical room, which has a transfer gill. It's grabbing some heat from inside the house too, but they are more efficient. And that's one reason why we use them. The same as the heating system we use on the outside of the homes, or to heat the homes, is the same technology.
Are there any challenges with heat pump water heaters, you know, drawing that heat out of the air?
Yeah, they can make the inside space cooler.
Yeah.
So in certain environments, they work really, really well. I'm probably more of a believer that a heat pump water heater probably works better in a very warm climate. You know, where you can put it in the garage in Florida, and you're wanting to heat that water, and the garage always stays above freezing. It's always hot. You're dehumidifying and reducing the heat inside that space. In a northern climate like ours, it's a little more challenging because we're heating more than we're cooling. So when you put a water heater that is constantly pulling heat out of the air when it's running, you're reducing the amount of conditioned air inside the home that has to be made up by another source, which in this case is the mini split.
Now, you did mention dehumidification, so in the summertime it could serve as a potential dehumidifier, but your houses are probably not going to be suffering from much humidity with the way they're built. Correct?
Exactly. Plus the mini splits, most of them, you see almost all of them are running. That one just shut down behind us, but most of them are always running, so those are dehumidifying too.
Okay.
You know, they're all, but it's a good point. They do, if you've got a damp basement, and granted it may be cooler, but it's one way to dehumidify the basement is have a heat pump water heater down there if you have an electric water heater.
Yeah. Great.
Let's head inside one of the houses.
And thanks for joining us, everybody, here at the Habitat for Humanity Grand Traverse Depot project. If you have any questions, feel free to join in the conversation. Let us know what you're thinking.
Say hi, everybody. You're on Facebook Live right now. Look at the excitement. Everybody's excited. Hey Bruce, how you doing? Good. How are you?
We've got some fantastic volunteers helping make all this happen. All right, we're heading into the second to last home, if I recall.
Yeah. You probably should head upstairs. It's a little more cleared out, maybe a little easier to see.
Yeah, we've seen in some of our other videos, we've seen behind the drywall quite a bit. So
Yeah, great.
yeah.
I don't know if there's any way to do that here either, but this will be more open. There we go. Much better. So behind you, Brett, is this is one of the condenser heads. So this is the line set that's coming in for the condenser head. This has both the supply and return for the cooling refrigerant in the system. These lines right here, and then there's a condensate drain right here. So just above this window, there'll be a wall-mounted console that'll sit just above that window, and that'll be the only heating source on this main floor or on the second floor. Same as downstairs. There'll be one on the family room wall downstairs that'll do the same thing to provide that.
I know mini splits. It seems like up here it's in a great spot because you've got this hallway, right?
Yeah.
So you really aren't seeing it too much. But I know they can be a little bit of an eyesore. Are you guys using any strategies to try to hide those?
No, not really.
Yeah. You're probably limited on what you can do.
They are what they are. Yeah, we've done houses in the past where we've done a drop ceiling, which we run ductwork in the upper drop, and then it's drywalled underneath. Yeah. So there'll be a single ducted head that would sit up in that ceiling space, and then a couple ducts that would run to each bedroom. So the one thing I want to show you before we get there is this is we're using all casement windows. This is a Thermatech window. They're made in, I believe, in Minnesota or Wisconsin. Do you know, Mackenzie, where they're made? Minnesota.
Great place.
They're a triple pane window, and they have a U value of I think 0.18, and a solar heat gain that's pretty close to the same. I think it's in the mid-2s for the solar heat gain. Yeah. We're not in a situation where we can get a lot of passive solar gain because it is a small house and they are fairly small windows. So our focus was more on, again, building a thermostat. I use that example all the time. With a triple pane window and a high low E coating and argon-filled gases, we're trying to reflect more heat or keep more heat in the house than we are trying to get solar gain from outside. There's just not too many opportunities for us to achieve much solar gain. There's such a small surface area of south-facing wall and glazed area. So we went with a really good quality window. The walls that you can see here are 10.5 inches deep. It's a 2x6 constructed wall with 7/16 OSB and then 4 inches of foam that has a 2x2 window buck or door buck that runs around the outside, so it gives something for the window to attach to. And then our break is that last 2 inches of foam, creates a thermal break between the two. You can see here where they've closed cell foam around the obviously around that gapping between the rough framing and the window frame. And then air seal, everything gets caulked. We use acoustical sealant that stays pretty pliable. In its cured form, it stays flexible, so when the house expands and contracts or as it settles and dries out, that sealant will stay nice and pliable. You can see it here. They run it anywhere we've got a wood-to-wood connection. They run it here where the sill meets the jack stud. Here on a king stud, you can see between the jack and the king stud it's been caulked and sealed. Along the floor line it's been caulked and sealed, and you can see it again at the double top plate. And while we're up there, if we focus that direction, you can see we've basically for LEED and now required by code, which is good. And Energy Star is to insulate before the tub goes in, instead of trying to jam it in later. So the whole cavity's been air sealed, and we put foam over it, and then we've weather made airtight the cavity. And then if you look up a little bit higher, you can see the baffles have started to go in because we still want to create air movement in our attic. We want air to travel from the eave to the ridge, so it keeps our attic cooler. But we also want full maximum insulation value at the heel of the wall. So if you look at our heels, they're 18 inches tall on the trusses, where a typical truss may only have like maybe a 12-inch heel or less. We've expanded it up to 18 inches, and the reason why is because we have about 20 inches of cellulose insulation that's going to go through the entire attic space, which gives us an R value of 80. Wow. Walls, finished R values, I think it's 42 or 43 finished R value. Sub slab is R30, And foundation ICF is R22.5, I believe is what the ICF comes out at. So as you can see, it's a pretty well insulated house. The idea again is to create a thermos bottle. You know, that way we're using less heat. The less heat we have to use, the smaller system we can have, and the less amount of solar panels we have to have on the house too.
Let's just take a look around here. Again, thanks for joining us, everybody, at the Habitat Grand Traverse Depot project. I'm just taking a look at one of the homes before the installation too at this point. So,
yeah, right. So the other thing you'll see, Brett, too, is we have above each door there's a transfer grill space.
Yes.
And that allows air to move from the hallway. The single condenser head in the hallway allows it to move from the hallway space into the bedroom. And then each bedroom door will be undercut, so it creates somewhat of a convection. The one thing we've looked at doing, I don't know if we're doing it or not, Michelle, but we're looking at trying to make these maybe power actuated and make a version of it. I think right now they're just passive. But to actually help push a little more air through the spaces, it can be wired and a little tiny blower motor can be put in there to help move air through the space.
Yeah, so tell us, on your original go at this with some of the first homes, you ran into some issues and probably learned this on the way. So what happened around the first time?
Yeah, pretty much the biggest complaint we got, we didn't have a transfer grill at the top of the doors, and not thinking through or not realizing that a lot of people would, for privacy purposes, would close their bedroom door. They're basically shutting off their heating source. By shutting the door, the mechanical system's here in the hallway, it no longer allows for any type of circulation of heat. Right. So we've had to get a little bit creative on how we get air to move into those spaces, even with the door closed.
Right.
The other thing that we do for supplemental heat is we have small electric baseboard heat, which produces kind of supplemental heat in the event that it gets too cold for the heat.
All right, well, it's getting kind of noisy in here. Why don't we head out?
Yeah, you can head upstairs. Yeah. Mackenzie can chat about data or go outside, whatever you want to do.
Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to let us know. Pan around there. Take a look at the sign.
So I'll let Mackenzie chat, and both of you guys can go over data, because I know you know the data fairly well, Brett, and obviously Mackenzie does too, and kind of where each home's at, and what our goal is, and how we're going to get there. We've realized that some of it has to be education. It's hard just to stick a family into a home and expect them to understand, you know, that it is net zero and how you get to net zero, and some of those homes have achieved that, some haven't. Mackenzie Tompkins, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Tompkins. I'm the HERS writer for the project. I work with Max Strickland and Strickland Ewing and Associates. Houses are coming in at a -5 on the HERS rating index, so they're coming in well under. The typical house would come in at 100, the average new home, and so we're doing much better than that here.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the concepts of zero energy. You know, trying to get to a HERS of 0 typically is where you want to aim when you're going for that zero energy index. You know, we took a look at some of the energy ratings on the past homes, some of the ones that are underway, which they've improved upon significantly as these homes have progressed. I mean, they've learned lessons, they've made improvements. I think solar energy efficiencies improved on some of the panels, mechanical efficiencies improved on some of the panels. You know, looking at the current HERS modeling where we're at today, pretty exciting for me what we were finding based on preliminary results. So again, as you guys saw, there's one home still underway, one that hasn't been built yet. But as you guys saw, you know, still some work to do, but you know, we're looking at, for all 10 homes, if everything goes according to plan, about as a community, roughly using maybe 5,000 kilowatt hours a year. That's it in its entirety. And so that's pretty phenomenal. And so, you know, as Ryan was mentioning, that education piece of LEED, education and awareness, is going to be huge, helping people understand how to use their water heaters, how to clean their filters. You know, you had mentioned some issues with electric, with the water heaters, with having different settings. Like what can people do better if they've got these hybrid heat pumps?
Well, it all comes back to education, and the systems aren't like your typical house. I mean, we're seeing more and more of these more sophisticated systems. It really comes down to whether the setting is on all electric or on the, you know, the hybrid portion of it. So we go from, you know, 100% electric efficiency to, I think the state's heat pump water heater has like a 320% efficiency. So it's a matter of getting people to understand what they have at their fingertips, and then trying to educate them on their behaviors, because that's what we're finding to be is the big glaring difference here. We have you know, some houses with one child, we have other houses with 4 children, and it's just a melting pot. Each house is different, and we see that in consumption, and Brett, maybe you can talk.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting based on some of the early results that we're getting in, and you know, we're going to wait and kind of take a whole picture once all the homes are built. But as you know, it's good to look at things that are underway, especially when you have time to make changes or corrections. But pretty exciting. I mean, we've already seen 2 of the original homes become zero energy heroes, is what we say, in the last year. So you're talking from summer 17 to summer 16. 2 of these homes have already produced 500 more kilowatt hours than they use. So real exciting.
Yep.
Some of the homes actually went in the other direction though, and have used significantly more, but mind you, nowhere near what the average built-to-code home, even of this size, would be using. But still, they're going over a little bit. So trying to understand, you know, what some of the strategies are to educate, work with homeowners, really, so they can save money, and keep that money, you know, food, you know, whatever, where they're going to need it the most, rather than sending it out to kilowatt hours.
Yeah, and we're committed to working with each homeowner. We've offered, you know, to come into each home and kind of look at some of their behaviors and just get a look-see around to see, you know, what things that maybe the average person wouldn't notice that are different from house to house. And we're going to do that in the off hours when it's convenient for the homeowners, and do some more education on the minor maintenance in the split system. And most of these folks are already washing their filters monthly and keeping ahead of the little things that can cause the efficiency to go down. So it's a work in progress, and I think we'll take the two heroes that Brett mentioned, and we'll put them at the forefront and let them share with their other folks in the community what they're doing, you know, to do so well at their consumption.
Yeah. I wanted to grab Brian here real quick and talk to him a little bit, but thanks again, Mackenzie, for filling us in on the energy portion of it. And Mackenzie actually will be working with him and hopefully updating data. He's been doing a great job taking a look at some of it and updating things as we go, and sharing it when, you know, we've made sense of it all with Habitat and with you. So, great. Hey Ryan, you got another second? All right.
Yeah. Make sure they all got their door pins.
Why don't we just to be safe? Let's head like a little bit further away from some of the noise.
Okay.
So I just wanted to.
No, we're still on it.
Yeah. No. Hey everybody, we're gonna head to the other side. See if it's a little bit quieter. No, I think we'll be all right on the other side. Yeah, I guess we could go across the street here.
That's the side of the development.
Take a look at the other side before we wrap up. But Ryan, I just wanted to single you out because you're a builder, but I really appreciate your opinion. As a builder, as a conventional home builder, you're not just building Habitat homes, right? You're building market rate homes up here in Traverse City, Michigan, and And I just wanted to, you know, just real quick while you're here, get your take. I mean, you know, what are the challenges? How doable is this at a sort of larger scale market rate solution to be able to achieve these kinds of goals?
Yeah. So obviously, with being Habitat, our goal is affordability. So when we look at affordability, it's obviously the first thing that comes to mind is the first cost, the cost to build the home. The second thing is what is the cost to live there. So the net zero idea or model, we've significantly reduced almost to zero what it costs to live in the homes, which is very important. at the expense, a slight increase in cost of first cost. So there's been just a little bit, I'm gonna hold tight here so the car goes by. So there's been about a 15 to 20% cost increase to build to this level between the solar arrays, the improved thermal envelope, but the immediate return is in the reduction of utility costs. So Brett, it'd be like me, you giving me a $50 bill and me handing you a $100 bill back every single month. So, so the idea is you're spending a little bit more, right, to build this way, but your immediate net return comes out of the first payment and your first operating expenses from the first month. So you get a net gain right from day one as it's amortized over a 30-year period. So when you look at it from affordability and you look at it from habitat, it made sense for us. It doesn't fit for every habitat, but it makes a lot of sense for this project. I use the same model when I build personal and private client homes. Is we look at not only just the first cost, but we look at what it costs to live in the house. We typically do that through a HERS score, through a home energy rating score, and that'll help us determine kind of where what it's going to cost to live there. And then once we've built that thermos model, we can determine whether or not they want to add renewable energy to it to offset those operating costs. So I don't know if that answered your question or not. You know, when you look at affordability, it's looking beyond just first cost is kind of my, I guess, the summary of the whole discussion is first cost is not the only thing when it comes to affordability. It's operating living costs or lifestyle costs to live in a house. And it made sense for us on this habitat project. The other advantage that we had, or the other goal that we wanted to create, is we wanted to kind of show other people in the community that this is a possibility with affordable housing, that you can live with no utility or very limited utility bills on a very tight budget, construction budget. So that was another goal for us, is to help others educate them on how this could be done. Did that answer your question, Brett?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. So I guess, you know, just to wrap up here, again, this is Brett Little. I'm the Executive Director at the Green Home Institute. This is the Grand Traverse Habitat for Humanity Depot project. We're hoping fairly soon here to have full construction and full LEED certification to the platinum level. Half of the community already is, and working with them to help track and understand some of the benefits and challenges to achieving zero energy. But in the meantime, Ryan, where can people learn more about what Grand Traverse does? Where can they learn about more what Habitat's mission is, and where could they go find more information and maybe get involved wherever they are? Yeah,
so our local website, which is a phenomenal resource both for this project and being involved here locally in Traverse City, is habitatgtr.org. There's a lot on there about this website. There's some videos that talk a little more in depth about what we chatted about today. And then on a broader picture, if you're from the Michigan area, you go to habitatmichigan.com, I believe, or .org, one of the two.
Org, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's .org. And they'll show you what's going on across the state. And there's other affiliates throughout the state that are doing very cool stuff similar to this. And then on a bigger picture, you go to habitat.org in general, and then they'll hook you up locally with someone in your area. My plea to you is get involved. Habitat's a great organization. As a builder and someone who enjoys building science and enjoys helping other people out, Habitat was a natural fit for me. And the one thing that Mackenzie and Michelle, and even Brett and myself get out of this is it's an opportunity for us to share our knowledge with organizations like this and study how we can improve the way we build homes across the state. So we're trying to set an example for others to achieve. And if you get involved, please get involved.
All right. Well, Ryan, thanks for your time. Mackenzie, thank you. Thanks to Habitat.
Okay, so here we are taking a closer look at the wall assembly, which is how we build this wall structure. And what you're seeing here is a layer of 2 inches of foam, and behind this 2x2 piece of wood, there's a 4-inch layer of foam, continuous foam that runs around the whole exterior of the house. And the reason why that's important is because a wood stud is a thermal bridge to the outside. It allows heat to travel from the inside to the exterior, and by placing that heavy layer of foam on the outside of the house, it stops that thermal bridging. One of the drawbacks to foam is made from a non-renewable source, which would be petroleum or oil, which isn't always a good thing. But the benefit here is is even though it's taking a small amount of petroleum to manufacture this type of product, what we're saving in non-renewable energy costs over the life of this home, which is 60 to 100 years, way outweighs the embodied energy it takes to manufacture this product. And the other thing too with an XPS, or extruded polystyrene foam, is there's very few other products out there that have that resistance factor like this does. And that's again why we use this product. Another benefit, and you can see it on the sheathing itself, is this is manufactured by Dow Building Products. Dow Building Products is a integral partner with Habitat International and Habitat Michigan. And a lot of this product you're seeing has been donated by Dow Building Products, which is another reason why we use as much foam as we do, is because they stand behind and believe this net zero concept, and they're very integral in all Habitat builds. Okay, here we are standing in front of one of the windows in this project, and what's unique about these windows is these are a triple pane window. There's 3 panes of glass. Most windows that we have in our homes are dual pane. They have 2 panes of glass. The benefit of having more panes of glass is the higher R value you get out of that window, the more resistance to heat loss. The other thing that you may notice is you can see wherever we have stud to stud connections, we air seal that space, and you can see where this has been caulked with an acoustical sealant, and that keeps air that can actually move between those studs. We've eliminated that or reduced the amount of that air loss by caulking in between those spaces. Above the window here, where the trusses meet the top of the wall, we have this large heeled truss, and you can see where we've added these cardboard baffles. That allows air to move up into the attic and vent the attic, which is what we need. But at the same time, we want to stop air from moving through that insulation. So that cardboard acts as an air barrier to keep from the air to move through that insulation. The other thing you notice is it's a really tall heel truss. We're putting almost 2 feet of insulation in this attic. So what that does is that taller heel truss allows us to keep a consistent layer of insulation of 22 inches of insulation all the way through the entire attic. So we're using a higher quality window in this project. This is a slab on grade home. And underneath our feet is 3.5 inches of concrete. But below that, even more importantly, there's a layer of insulation. To be more specific, there's about 6 inches of insulation underneath this 3.5 inch slab. And the reason why we put that insulation underneath the slab is we need to stop the heat loss from bleeding into the ground. The ground acts as a heat sink, and it wants to pull that heat out of the house and into the ground 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we need to stop that from happening. The exterior foundation wall itself, which you kind of see just a portion of here, is what's known as insulated concrete forms. A lot of people are familiar with them because they look like a Lego block. They kind of snap together, and they form the entire perimeter of this home, and then concrete is poured into the center of that. The benefit of that, again, if you've kind of followed along with the theme that's going on here, is foam acts as a thermal break. And that's exactly what happens with our foundation. We don't want exposed concrete here on the edge or exterior of the foundation because that transfers cold into the interior of the house. Foam stops that from happening. And that's the benefit of these insulated concrete forms. It stops that thermal bridging or that cold from moving inside the house. So that way the slab inside of our home is completely thermally broken within conditioned space.
We are the Lardy family. My name is Jash, this is my wife Trisha, and this is my little girl Vabrian. We have been living in this home at the Depot project since last Thanksgiving, so almost a year to the day. It'll be a couple more days before Thanksgiving. When we built our Habitat house, it was built within a community where there's going to be 10 Habitat houses all in one square block, basically. All the houses together make a nice community, and you know, basically everyone's kind of in the same boat. We got to meet everybody, helping build their houses and them helping build our house.
I think going through the Habitat program and doing the sweat equity hours is beneficial for Habitat, but it's also beneficial for us because you build relationships with these people. You work with them side by side and you go through the same process of the waiting and the anticipation of your home.
The cost of this house, if we rented anything in town with 3 to 4 bedrooms, would be over $1,000. This house is half that. And living right in town, not having the gas bill that we had when we lived out of town, with not having that bill, with not having the other bills, having half a house payment basically, it's really been a blessing. The solar panels made so much electricity for this house that it paid for our water bill and our city sewer, and we still had money left over. We were getting a credit for the following month. By not having these extra bills in our lives, it's really helped my wife, because now she's been able to take classes to become a certified praise move instructor, because we can live on just one income. On my income right now, we're making it with a family of 6.
In northern Michigan.
Yeah. We have our own nest, to say, your own place that you can call my home, not my parents' home or her parents' home. It's our home.
This course is brought to you by the Green Home Institute. The Green Home Institute is a nonprofit with a mission to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. This course was approved for LEED AP Homes, GBCI, AIA HSW, AIBD, NARI Green, Certified Green Home Professional, Certified Green Professional, and may be approved or applicable to your local state-based or design contractor license. For those of you watching this course on demand, please take the 10-question quiz with an 80% passing rate. And again, just a big thanks to all of our sponsors, our members, our board of directors, sponsors Sun Intuitive Self-Tinting Glass, Niagara Conservation, lowest flowing single flush toilets on the planet, CERV Serve by Build Equinox, Smart Ventilation, Panasonic Ventilation for all your bath fan and ERV retrofit needs, and Certainteed Air Renew formaldehyde eating drywall. We couldn't do it without them, without you. Thanks again.